Time to kill a Shava.
No!
Yep. I completely did not pay attention to the end time of the server slam. The plan was to have a wonderful morning with my mother for Mother's Day, and then rolling into the evening, I would slay a Shava after spending all Saturday grinding. Man, that was a great plan. If only I could remember to fully read things when I see them. So for those of you who are not completely following along, I did not get a chance to defeat a Shava.
Shame.
Actually, I didn't even get a chance to fight her this time, so yeah. But let me tell you, I still definitely have some thoughts about this server slam and what to expect leading up to launch. So let's talk about that. Now listen, I already know, you're looking at the footage on screen and you're already judging me, because it looks terrible. And in my defense, the Druid's early game is not anything special. And because of that, I tried a couple different builds on my way to level 20. So for starters, I did use the Landslide build. And I gotta be honest, I'm just not really a big fan of Landslide, even if it is one of the better core skills for the Druid. I almost forgot, I'm looking at the footage on screen here. Shout out to the Conduit Shrine in Diablo 4. It is so much better than it was in Diablo 3. And honestly, the fact that you can teleport all around with it, it's just awesome. And getting us back to the Druid builds itself, I actually tried using tornadoes as well. I like them as a concept, they look visually much more pleasing. And yeah, I get it, before you roll your eyes at me, yes, things like that do actually matter to me. I would much prefer to play a build that's actually fun than one that is optimal in every possible sense. I'm not a min-maxer type player. So for those of you looking for specific builds, I can absolutely look at making videos like that if you want it, but I'm not the first person I would recommend going to. However, what I would recommend going to is testing out Pulvarize with the Druid. Holy crap. This one is a lot of fun, especially once you start figuring out how to utilize Fortify. I'm sure there is damage numbers significantly higher than this, but I was regularly getting 700 to 800 AoE damage hits going here. So the build that I ended up settling on for my Druid that I was going to use to go fight a Shava. Stop it with that bell. My generator was Earthen Spike. I just ended up liking this one the best because of the range, especially since the Druid as a class, like I mentioned earlier, is not very mobile. Pulvarize is my go-to class skill here. And what makes Pulvarize so powerful is its overpower technique. And as you read here, overpower requires you to be healthy. And as I've mentioned already, we do not have a lot of mobility, so we have to be able to find a way to tank damage. Which is why for a defensive skill, I picked up Earthen Bulwark. But the key for that spike damage you see is this little add-on to it, the Preserving Earthen Bulwark. Because with this skill, you actually fortify your base life, giving you more than 100% health, and that is when you see the larger numbers start hitting. And then as for my pets, I put one into every single one of the summons between the Poison Creeper, Wolf, and Raven, and then I maxed out Call of the Wild for a 30% increase in damage boost. Blizzard had mentioned previously that they were massively buffing the pets, and from what I could tell, they were a very consistent passive damage increase across the board for all of them. As far as my final build gear-wise, we were only able to get to level 20, so it's not even really worthwhile talking about. I didn't have anything special whatsoever here. And that was the final build that I ended with. So yeah, I guess my overall thoughts on the Druid are, they're alright. I'm not planning on playing this class, but for those of you who are, they're no longer the 17 damage meme status that they were. However, the early game struggle is absolutely real. Their lack of mobility really hurts them here. But as with all things, there is so much to these classes that we still have to learn. And also, just like the Barbarian, we don't even have access to the class specializations in this beta. So who knows what kind of boosts and such are even hidden within that system. With the other classes, I did play the Necromancer and Rogue previously. Those videos are attached to the Diablo playlist. And again, as someone who's going to be playing Necromancer, I was definitely hearing a lot of people complaining about the nerfs to the skeletal minions of the Necromancer. And apparently Blizzard heard all of you too, because they not only acknowledged it, but they even did a live patch during the beta. That's pretty awesome. So to move on from speaking about the classes, I wanted to talk about the game as a whole as it stands right now. Being that this beta was called the Server Slam, I think it achieved its #1 goal. At least for me personally, there was no queue times whatsoever. None of the 50-60 minute queues that we saw in the first beta. Now, I still did run into more server lag in this one. I even encountered a very strange moment that I'm showing on screen right here, where visually the game was showing me this door was closed, but clearly the mobs were running through it, and I later found out I could just run through it myself. So there's little glitches like this that still exist within the game. But you know what? That's kinda it. And for a game this large, that is truly impressive. I'll probably later come back to regret what I'm about to say, but come release day, I have literally no concerns about performance in regards to Diablo 4. And as we all know, that is absolutely not something you can just lightly say nowadays in modern gaming. Speaking of modern gaming, I think it's time that we talk about some of the stuff we have not discussed on this channel yet, and that is what is happening after release. The seasons, monetization, all that fun stuff, because we got to hear a little bit about all that. And let me tell you, if the fine people working on Diablo can be trusted with what they've said so far, I'm not hearing a lot of bad things here. So the image displayed on screen right now is the overall concept of what seasonal content is supposed to strive for. Fresh gameplay as a whole is pretty self-explanatory. So for me personally, it's those seasonal quest lines that I'm the most intrigued about, because this allows them to get really creative. It's not content from the mainline Diablo 4 story. Those storylines typically continue to keep getting pushed forward through expansions, which they also do mention will be coming eventually. And of course it would. An example of a seasonal questline might be zombies. As cliche as that idea is, you kind of get the idea here. There's a lot of room for experimentation. Now, if we could real quick go back to an image I displayed right at the beginning of this, seasonal objectives were always something that I enjoyed doing in Diablo 3. And I'm really happy to see that it's coming back for Diablo 4. And for those of you who either didn't play Seasons or didn't play Diablo 3, the beauty here is not only do you have things to strive for and try and unlock, there are usually rewards attached to it as well. And the part that I really enjoyed was they've learned from their past mistakes here. In Diablo 3, let's say one of the objectives during one of these seasonal chapters was to go and kill a player in PvP or 5 players in PvP. If you were someone who didn't like doing that or didn't want to do that, you were kind of stuck. You couldn't get around it. But in Diablo 4, you might only have to do 7 out of 9 objectives, which means you can plan and pick and choose what you do and do not want to do. This is a simple but elegant fix. All for it. I'm also all for you taking a shot every time I just said do in the last sentence or two. And now I can't even stop rhyming. Let's move on. Oh, and look at what we're moving on to. Customization. Well, more specifically the online store and Battle Pass. To get any confusion out of the way very quickly here, there are technically 3 Battle Passes with Diablo 4. There is the free version that goes up to level 27, a premium version for $10, and then a accelerated premium version that jumps the first 20 levels of the premium battle pass, and it unlocks just some special cosmetic for you. I believe the part that has been confusing people all over the internet is the differences between the free and paid battle pass versions here. In the free, that battle pass is level based, and all of the in-game materials you can get from that, you only get through leveling. You do not get them in the premium battle passes. Those are 100% cosmetic. And to me, I think is an absolutely perfect example of how you make sure people cannot pay to win. And honestly, even some of the in-game versus shop cosmetics that they've shown so far, I actually think both look great. I'm glad there seems to be a balance here. And they also clarified, you can mix and match shop items with in-game items. And you can also dye them any color you want, well, of the 8 that they have available to us in the game. And yes, of course, I'm going to do everything I can to grind to get that Necromancer in-game armor set right there, because holy crap does that thing look awesome. I want it. Man, that's sweet. Okay, seasons in Diablo 4 are going to be going live. I believe they said middle to end of July, so we have a little over a month and a half or so to get through the campaign. For some reason, I actually thought it would be a little bit longer of a wait than that, but I think that's enough time. Oh, and to make sure I don't forget this, the in-game material that you get from the free Battle Pass is called Smoldering Ash. And that Smoldering Ash is what you use to get yourself seasonal blessings. And as you can see on screen right now, seasonal blessings can be all sorts of different types of buffs for your character. The point being, and the main thing you need to take away from this, is you cannot purchase things like this with real money. It's all in-game. That's it. And you know what? Actually, that is it. Because that's all that I have to say about this Diablo 4 server slam and the upcoming release of the game itself. What are you most excited for? Who are you gonna play? Is there anything else you want me to dive into regarding Diablo 4 before the release of the game? Let me know in the comments down below. As for this channel's plans regarding Diablo 4, yes, I went out of my way and bought the more expensive version of the game, so I will have access actually June 1st, I believe it's 4 o'clock my time. So my plan is to live stream the first couple hours of my playthrough. And yes, you are more than welcome to join that stream. I would love it if you would join me. Ask me as many questions as you want. I will do my best to answer what I can. If there are certain features that you want to see more closely, I can do my best to try and show those for you. But yeah, we are literally less than a month away from the release of Diablo 4. It feels like it's taken forever, and yet it's flown by. I will see you all soon.